Mark 9, the 9th chapter, specifically verse 35, again, even though we looked at it last week, because if we don't get this part right, then we fail as being servants, as being followers of Christ in the manner that He wants us to do so. There was a mother, and she was preparing pancakes for her sons, Kevin, 5, and Ryan, age 3. And boys, being boys at that age, began to argue over who would get the first pancake. So the mother saw this as an opportunity to teach a lesson, a moral lesson. And so she asked the boy, she said, if Jesus was sitting here, He would say, let my brother have the first pancake. I can wait. So Kevin, the older boy, turned to his younger brother, Ryan, and said, Ryan, you be Jesus. Sometimes when it comes down to it, it's a little tough to be Jesus, especially when that first pancake is all nice and warm and just there and waiting for the butter to melt and the syrup. It's tough. Well, it must have been something on Palm Sunday when all the crowds, when all the people were praising Jesus. Everybody would have wanted to be Jesus that day, sitting up on the donkey and just adulation and praise and everything good that there could be. But things changed. And by the end of the week, nobody wanted to be in Jesus' place. The disciples scattered, and even Peter, being the boldest, failed and denied that he knew Jesus. Key to greatness. If you've ever been at the Breakers Hotel in Palm Beach, I've only managed to be able to walk through it a couple times. I did eat there once, but I never stayed there. And if you stay there, at night you can put your clothes out, and you can put your shoes out, and somebody will come by and take them and clean them and polish your shoes and get everything ready to go. And in the morning when you get up, it's all taken care of for you. I don't know if they got this example from a pastor named D.L. Moody, but he did something over a couple hundred years ago that was similar. There was a group of European pastors that came to a conference when he was still in Massachusetts, and D.L. Moody is who Moody Bible College and Moody Radio is named after. And in the late 1800s, this group of pastors came in, and following the European custom of the time, all the pastors put their shoes outside the door to be cleaned by the hall servants overnight. But this was America, and there were no servants, no hall servants, no servants. And D.L. Moody was walking down the dormitory hall, and he saw the shoes, and he didn't want to embarrass the people that were attending the conference. And so he mentioned the need to some of the ministerial students who were there, but they didn't answer him or they gave him excuses. So he returned to the dorm and he gathered up all the shoes and he went to his room, and at that time he was one of America's most famous evangelists, and he began to clean and polish the shoes. And only the unexpected arrival of a friend while he was doing this was how people figured out what he was doing. Well, when the visitors opened the door the next morning, their shoes were shined and waiting for them in the hallway. But they never knew who did it. Moody told no one, but his friend told a few people, and of course people were embarrassed, so they volunteered. And during the length of the conference, people would volunteer to take the shoes and clean and polish them. D.L. Moody was a person who was very much used by God. He was a man with a servant's heart, and that was the basis of his true greatness. He was a servant at heart. You hear about the boy who came home from school after the first day, and he dropped his backpack on the floor, and he quickly wandered off, getting ready to play. And his mother asked him, "Do you have any homework or stuff that you need to get ready for class tomorrow?" And he looked at his mother with disbelief and he said, "I have to go back." Well, you know, that's the great thing about children. They are born dreamers. They're not concerned with the everyday stuff of life. They're dreamers. If you watch them play, they're acting out their dreams. They're pretending that they're whatever they can dream up. You know, they might be doing earth-shaking battles, or, you know, girls with their dolls are carrying mothers. There's no limit on as to what they can do or what they can be. And adults will sometimes ask children to tell them their dreams. What do you want to be when you grow up? Or what do you want to be when you get big? And of course, you know, you've heard the response. When I grow up, when I get big, I want to be a policeman or a firefighter or a nurse or a soldier or a mommy or a cowboy, an astronaut, a singer, a basketball player, president of the United States. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if we went back to your childhood days and I asked what you dreamed about? what you were going to be when you got big? You still might be dreaming of what you will be when you get big. When you get enough money, or you get the right breaks, or you finish your education, or whenever you, quote, unquote, arrive. You know, when I get grown up, I want to get married. I want to get my driver's license. I want to live on my own. You fill in the blanks. When I grow up, I want to. And there's nothing wrong with dreaming. Even after you become an adult, there is nothing wrong with dreaming. We don't do it enough as adults. God gives you dreams to encourage you to become what He wants you and us to be. But when you dream, Jesus says, when you dream, dream big. But if you're going to dream big, then you've got to think small. See, one of the highest priorities of Jesus' teaching was, even as you get older, you still need to keep a childlike heart that is willing to learn from Him, to serve one another, to be at peace with one another. Now, people are interested in greatness to some degree. Some are not interested at all. See, some people, just to be accepted and approved by friends and neighbors, that's enough greatness for them. But others want to seek out greatness through position or power or possessions or prestige. I think that's one of the problems with the political atmosphere on both sides these days. Position, power, possessions, prestige. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing. Look at what I did. One commentator said the nature of a person's heart determines whether he secures his greatness by hook or crook, or by respect and honesty, by meanness and depravity, or by right and goodness. A man's heart determines whether people are blessed or hurt by his greatness. A man's heart determines whether a person is blessed or hurt by his greatness. In Mark's Gospel, after they arrived in Capernaum, Jesus and his disciples settled in the house where they would be staying. Jesus asked them, "What were you discussing out on the road?" But they didn't answer, because they had been arguing about which of them was the greatest. So here's the disciples. They have the argument. It's centered on greatness. And it's the same thing with us. We want to be great. We desire greatness. Too many people desire the places of honor and recognition and power. It's a problem in society. the problem in the church. That's why we're looking at it a second week in a row. See, in response to human selfish considerations, Jesus brings the teachings that say the key to kingdom greatness is, if you want to be first, if you want to be great, consider yourself last and become a servant of all. Remember when you couldn't wait to graduate from high school? That you couldn't wait to leave home and follow your dreams without annoying interference from your parents or your teachers? You thought you had learned enough of life's lessons. You're a big person now, and you've got big dreams, and you've got big plans to live however you like. We knew it all. This is the disciples. But it's been us at one time or another. And of course, it doesn't take long to discover that we have more lessons to learn in life, whether we want to learn them or not. And there's really only two ways to learn the lessons of life. Either from our own experience or from someone else's experience. But more often than not, we often choose the more painful path of learning from our own mistakes. We learn from our own failures, also known as being stubborn. The technical term is probably something that your mother might have told you or used to say to you. You're being too big for your britches. So here are the disciples, and they're too big for their britches. They know it all. They've got it figured out. They didn't understand it. Not one of them knew that the biggest person spiritually is not the one who stands on top of the ladder and makes decisions and directs things. It's the one who stands at the bottom and holds the ladder, the one who serves so others can climb the ladder. See, Jesus taught them the opposite. It's not being great. It's not being noticed. It's not being at the top of the ladder. If you want to be the biggest in God's kingdom, you have to serve. Verse 35. Sitting down, he called the 12 and said to them, if anyone wants to be first, he must be last and servant of all. So let's take a look behind these words. First, the word that he used for servant in the Greek is diakonos. It's it's the same word we get the English word deacon. It doesn't refer to a slave. It refers to a willingness to serve. Someone who willingly takes care of someone else's needs. Servant, deacon, servant. And the second thing is Jesus makes the connection between the one who receives the child in his name is the same as the one who receives Christ himself. And the word receive means to receive is the same as receiving somebody to serve. Like a hostess who greets guests for dinner, or a hotel clerk who receives guests for the night. Jesus says the one who serves a child serves him and the God who sent him. So are you big enough to serve? Someone said that your willingness to serve is demonstrated when someone treats you like a servant. So you and I don't mind serving others as long as we get something out of it. You serve your boss to get a paycheck. You help out a friend or stranger if they will repay the favor. But if you really want to be great, to be big in God's eyes, Jesus says, serve those who cannot repay you. See, spiritually speaking, big people serve little people. Those whom everybody else forgets. What does this mean? It means Jesus is using a child to show the truth of verse 35. He's saying the greatest person is the one who serves others the way an adult serves children. Do adults ever serve children? Ask the parents of a newborn. Babies are high-maintenance people. You have to feed them, burp them, dress them, change them, put them to sleep, wake them up. Babies are not high up on the corporate ladder or even on the political spectrum. And if you judge their worth by how much service they require, they are some of the most important people in the world. Ask any parent. They will tell you their child is the most important person in the world. And even more recently now, we have adult children taking care of their elderly parents. And they require a lot of time and care, and they too are the most important people in the world. See, this shows Jesus' point. You are greatest when you serve the smallest, most helpless, insignificant person you know. Do this and you will be a servant and serve God. The Apostle Paul put it this way in Philippians. Make your own attitude that of Christ Jesus, who existing in the form of God, did not consider equality with God as something to be used for his own advantage. Instead, he emptied himself by assuming the form of a slave, taking on the likeness of men. And when he had come as a man in his external form. So Jesus became a slave, a servant. And along with that, the Bible tells us in other places, Matthew 23, verse 12, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Romans chapter 12, verse 16, live in harmony with one another. Do not be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position. Do not be conceited. Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. And Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. This is what this week is about, Holy Week. The walk to the cross. This is what it was all about. Jesus came to serve and to give his life as a ransom. Jesus Christ is the one who makes us great. He is the one who makes us valuable. He is the one who has taught us and shown us by his life that we may be called great within his kingdom. And the key for us to be great is that we seek to be last and to be the servant of all. So we should not be seeking to glorify ourselves, but to serve people and to bring glory and honor to our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Our closing hymn is number 134, I Know My Redeemer Liveth. Would you please stand, number 134.